Okay. We might get started. People on the Zoom, can you hear me okay? Just like a thumbs up. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. Hi. Welcome. Oh God, my computer's reverbing. What is making that noise? Sorry, I'm really tech like bad or whatever. Harrison, do you know why this is echoing? Or is it? Okay, whatever. I will cope with the sound of my own voice echoing. That's fine. Can you? Oh, sorry. No, it's not, and that's why I'm really confused. Like, what speakers? Like those? No, sorry. I feel like it sounds like no, it's definitely coming from my computer. Whatever, I can cope with this. Okay. For those of you who are on the Zoom, I have my computer muted for this very purpose. So I will not be able to hear you. Please put a question in the chat if you have to say anything. Okay, welcome to class rep training. My name is Charlotte. I am the vice president of ANUSA. ANUSA is your student union while you are at ANU. Basically, we are a service provision body, but we are also like an advocacy and representational body. You might see every year around September, your Facebook gets a bit crazy and people like me do up their profile pictures and are like, this is why you should vote for me. That's my side of ANUSA, but there's also the service side of ANUSA, things like student assistance. We have free legal service, the BKSS, things like that. But yeah, welcome to class rep training. Thank you for coming. I hope this is good for you. First, I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the lands of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, the traditional custodians of this land, this very beautiful land that we're incredibly privileged to live, work, and study on. If you are a first year or you're new to Canberra generally, I really recommend, exploring what this wonderful place has to offer, taking a hike up Black Mountain, looking at Lake Billy Griffin, that sort of thing. Yeah, we should keep these people at the forefront of our fight for justice always. Yeah. Okay. By the way, this will be recorded and the slides will be posted on the Facebook, which if you haven't joined, that's the QR code for it. So feel free to scan that. And I'll, accept you after this is finished. But yeah, so no, if you don't want to take notes, you don't have to. The handbook will also be posted, which is much more in depth than this will be. But I suppose I've covered who's who. Yeah, I'm Charlotte. This is Harrison here. He's the undergraduate coursework officer, which is basically like we have college reps in ANUSA, which I'll get into a bit later. But Harrison's basically like the top dog of the college reps, if you will. Do I have any college reps here? ANUSA college reps. Shame. That's okay. I would have introduced them as well, but that's all right. Wait, is Jem here? No, okay, that's fine. Okay, so in terms of like what this training is going to cover. Sorry, I had my thing up. Yeah, so in terms of what this training is going to cover, it's basically going to cover what a class rep is, what you do, what kind of issues you might run into, and how to handle them, and sort of ANUSA's role in this, and a few other things. Yeah, as I've said, join the Facebook. The class rep handbook also contains all of this information and goes into depth on a few things as well that I won't like touch on as heavily, which I said I'll post to the Facebook. But yeah, so if you're like kind of wondering more about this thing or I want to be more in depth about that, obviously feel free to ask me, but you can also have a look there. Yes, Harrison, this is not, hold on. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I'm like just screen sharing, but I'm also looking at notes, so this is really confusing. Okay, so what is a class rep? Class reps kind of do three main things. They provide support, consultation, and a voice. So class reps, as you can see, sort of provide the first point of contact for other students in their course. Obviously, as you all know, it can be pretty daunting going to your lecturer and being like, hey, I have this question, or hey, I don't love this about your course. And that's what you guys are there to do, basically, is you're there to be someone a bit more familiar, a bit easier to talk to, and you can resolve basic problems, offer guidance, and provide support. Another thing you get to do, and a really important purpose that class reps serve in the university, is consultation. So class reps provide really important point of consultation when changes need to be made or are being proposed. That's sort of to things like more broadly within the school, less so on a course level. But yeah, oftentimes it involves speaking with other class reps, such as yourself, and being consulted by the ANU. Yeah, and class reps are most importantly the ears and voices of ANU students. You do provide a really important link between students, lecturers, tutors, ANUSA even, and the university. You're, as I said, meant to be an approachable point that people can go to, and you have the privilege of being able to advocate for your peers, which is something really exciting. Okay, so what do you actually do? I feel like I've been a class rep like 3 times, probably I'm a 5th year, I know I'm old. And it's like class reps can be really like, what the hell am I actually doing? So there's a few things. Mostly you just talk to your peers. Your peers might have questions for you. You just get to answer them. And even if you don't know the answer, you get to ask your course convener. You also meet with your course convener, and you get to provide feedback on the class experience, and maybe things that are going positively or negatively. When things are actually serious beyond just like, oh, I don't know the answer to this thing, or, you know, like this was a miscommunication, you pass that on to maybe people on the ANUSA executives, such as myself, or college representatives. Yeah, and passing along minor feedback as well to the course convener, like I just said. Never pass on feedback, by the way, to the tutor or the lecturer if they are not your course convener. That's kind of the purpose of a course convener. Usually they are also the lecturer, but if they are not, obviously you'll find this on your class page. But things about the course directly, it's really important that they go specifically to the course convener. Yeah. Okay. So how should you do this? Obviously these are really like basic things, but work constructively, listen to your peers. It's really important to listen to your peers. Obviously you are just one person within your course. You are the voice, but you know, you represent a shared experience and you also represent individual experiences. So it's really important to listen. And don't be the handbook link. I don't have it right now, but I will post it in the Facebook afterwards. I'll also post it to the Zoom after this. Yeah, don't be overzealous. Don't be too crazy. True, it is in the email. But also don't be pushed around by your peers that might be a bit intense, or by your course convener, of course. And as I've said, see the handbook for more details. You're free to peruse that after this. Okay, so what kind of issues are you actually looking out for? Course content and structure, things like the fact that lectures must be recorded. This unfortunately does not apply to guest lecturers, which if you are in law, you have a lot of those. And unfortunately, that is the answer to that question. It doesn't really go further than that. But yeah, if your lectures aren't being recorded, that's an issue. Things like course outlines being altered after the first week of semester, they're not actually allowed to be. So if your lecturer has just been like, oh, this 20% assignment, I'm making it 40%. No. You get to be like, don't do that. Also, by the way, all of these examples that I'm about to illustrate have links to the ANU policy that like I'm referring to in the handbook, so that you can like kind of come out guns a-blazing if any of this actually does happen. In terms of the course workload, like how manageable is it? How well dispersed are the assessments throughout the semester? Obviously course load is kind of one of those things we all feel pretty personally, and it can impact people, you know, student to student, and what your own experience is and like your own workloads outside of this class. But also chances are if you're finding it to be a bit intense, other students are. And that's kind of what I mean when I say listen to your peers. Teaching methods is a tricky one. Any issues about staff, like meaning that aren't the course convener, like your tutor or your lecturer, if you have separate ones, they should be brought straight to the course convener. Those are not for your staff student meetings that I'll touch on in a second. And they're definitely not to be shared on social media. You can kind of get in a lot of trouble with that. And also, of course, it's important to respect people's privacy. Yeah, but there are some good questions to focus on with teaching methods, like, is lecture content clearly communicated? How effectively are support materials used during teaching time? Things like, PowerPoints, worksheets, things like that. Yeah, teaching methods are also quite personal. This is their livelihood. Make sure your feedback acknowledges the strengths of the lecturers and your tutors and whatnot, and includes encouraging aspects. And, I don't know if any of you have heard of like a compliment sandwich, where it's like, you say a nice thing, that's your bread. You say maybe something not so nice, that's your filling, and then something nice again, and that's your bottom piece of bread. That's always a good one. But yeah, and then assessments and feedback. Again, some questions to focus on are specific assessment items appropriate to the course content? Are the assessment criteria and guidelines clearly communicated to students? All course assessments are required to have criteria, by the way. That's a good thing to know. Have students received sufficient feedback? Have they received it in a timely manner? Things like that. And also, like, all course assessments should relate to the learning objectives in the course outline. That thing on programs and courses where you're like, okay, awesome, outline learning objectives, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those 5 bullet points should be incredibly relevant to your assessments. And if they're not, that's an issue. Yeah. And then how to handle individual student issues. This is less something you should do within your role. There are support services for students at ANU in varying kinds, and it's not your job to handle sort of someone's very personal issue. That's beyond sort of the scope of your role. But a student may approach you with a variety of personal issues. For most matters, encourage the student to contact their lecturer ASAP, or the course convener rather. In the case of exams, unless there's a serious illness or death of a loved one, usually you do have to sit the exam. But if they have further questions about that, or if that is the case, advise them to talk to ANU Counselling or ANU Health. If a student is having issues related to plagiarism, very specifically, do refer them to ANUSA student assistants. Basically, our student assistance team provide like free academic advice. Like, they basically have ANU academic policy like memorized into their brain, and they will know the answer to most things and will be able to help you. So, and plagiarism is obviously quite a serious issue. I don't know about any of you. Plagiarism's like my worst fear while I'm at ANU. So if someone has been accused of plagiarism by their lecturer because of the severity, I would strongly recommend escalating that and not dealing with that on your own. Yeah. Okay, again, for individual student problems, as I said, we have a student assistance team. They deal with academic things. They also can help if you're experiencing poverty and you need things like grocery vouchers, and they do a few other things. We also have a free legal service, which you can email our admin. There's also an online booking form on our website, and that's our phone number. And then for like inter-student things, like if they're like, oh, this person did something horrible to me that's in my class or just isn't, or college-specific assistance, email the Dean of Students, and he will be able to help you out. He's quite lovely, Peter. We're sort of halfway through, so are there any questions currently? No? Okay. Awesome. Okay, key meetings. So as a class rep, you have sort of like, I would say like 2 main meetings. Oh, how do students know to contact you? Great question. I would say this will come up a little bit later. Class reps kind of, I feel like, operate best when you make yourself visible. If your lecturer hasn't already offered it to you, it's really good to just at the beginning of your lecture, like your weekly lecture, like just stand up and be like, hi, I'm the class rep. I promise it's not cringe. It's actually very valuable, and people will really value like having a name to a face if they need to email with a problem. Because obviously just like emailing someone and being like, I have a problem, and you're emailing like a wall, basically. It's not that pleasant. That's one way, but also your course convener should have your details up in that little taupe sidebar on the Wattle page. Your name and your number email should be there and very available so that people know who the class reps are. That's like the bare minimum. If your course convener has not done that, definitely raise that with them. But yeah, so you have two kind of key meetings as class reps. Again, see handbook. This is kind of more in depth because I think it's a little bit boring to go through. But one of the key meetings you have is with your course convener. And that's just like letting them know how the course is going, right? Before that meeting, I would say ask your course convener if you can have the last 10 minutes of the lecture, probably in like maybe week 4 or 5, before you have your student staff meetings, which are with the Associate Deans of Education in your college. But yeah, ask if you can just have the last 10 minutes of the lecture. Basically, they will just like leave and you can, sit in a lecture theatre like this with your peers and you can just candidly talk about the course and its content. I found that when I've been a class rep, that's kind of been the easiest way to facilitate feedback, and both positive or negative. Like it's really important to kind of get both ends of the spectrum with your feedback. But yeah, your meetings with your course convener shouldn't be too intimidating. That's just kind of like an update meeting. It's a chance for them to be like, hey, be real with me. How am I going? Then you just get to be real with them, right? And then the student staff meetings are a little bit like more intense, I would say, but they're definitely not scary. So as I said, they're with your Associate Dean of Education. They're like these top dogs in the college. And they're very important meetings and they're an important opportunity to sort of share communication between the schools and the class reps. Yeah, they will send out an agenda usually. Make sure you read that. Usually it's like a kind of more grand overarching thing. It talks about the school, as in like School of History, I mean. And sort of it's for the ADEs to like get a bigger picture of what's going on with the classes. But it's also an opportunity for you to pass that feedback on a bit more directly. But yeah, prepare, read the agenda. If there's anything actually pretty relevant, maybe to your course or just that you think your peers should know, chat to them about it. Again, I'd do the same thing. Ask for 10 minutes at the end of your lecture or your tute. But yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, another thing is like, as a class rep, you might want to ask your lecturer at the beginning of your course or, currently to sort of maybe comment on the last CELT, like the CELT review, any subsequent changes. Also, you can do this online though. The course results are published online and are available to all ANU staff and students, but that can be a good look at like how your lecturer or your course convener has taken on feedback and actually applied it to your course currently, and if maybe they're going to engage in good faith. But also very important that the university takes evaluations and like your feedback in this instance. They don't always listen to students, but in these meetings they kind of do, and they take it very seriously. So I'd kind of be a bit careful with what you say, but all schools and programs are required to address areas of concerns highlighted by students. So if there's something that you've been bugging your lecturer about and they haven't done anything about it, that is definitely your opportunity to say something. And it's important that you do. Usually it's a group lunch and you get little sandwiches and it's quite pleasant. But yeah. And definitely be on time. In the document, in the handbook, I have like an ABCD of feedback, which I think is good to remember. I won't go into it, it's boring, but maybe have a look at that. And ask questions if you don't understand something. They sometimes talk in like jargon and kind of like high level concepts, as in like not like concepts that we as, me as student can't understand, but I mean like things that you just wouldn't know about like within the college. So don't be afraid to actually ask questions. Pardon? Too many acronyms. They will often use acronyms and will be like, so-and-so meeting or committee that they sit on, and you'll be like, what the hell is that? And just ask, and that's okay. But yeah, so what's ANUSA's role in all of this? So ANUSA can provide support and assistance outside of our services. As I mentioned, we have these services, but you student advocates like me who work for you because I was elected by you, I hope, But yeah, so I guess I'll just like run you through a couple of the main people that you can go to. So there's the ANUSA executive, there's 7 of us. We're all like paid, like we work basically for ANUSA. We deal with big advocacy things like online exams, course cuts, policy changes, and we often sit on these big university committees and we know when things aren't going great and we try and sort of work that out. So if you have something that's kind of indicative of a broader problem, and you don't even have to do this in your capacity as a class rep, you can do this just as a student, always feel free to email us. My email will be on the screen shortly. I'm usually the person who deals with this sort of stuff, though, the academic side of things, so definitely feel free to email me. College representatives, again, their emails will be on the screen in a second. I often find that if like a lecturer or a course convener is not listening to you, if you CC in a college representative, sometimes they will, which is a bit odd, but sometimes they actually will then listen, because it becomes like a serious matter of advocacy in their eyes, I think. But they're kind of the main liaison with individual colleges, like they sit in more of these big kind of meetings much more frequently. They have 1-year terms. And there's 2 for undergraduate at the college level, 1 for postgrad coursework, and then 1 for HDR. But they all share one inbox, basically, as in like per college. And then if you're more interested in the activism side of things or just continuing your work in advocacy, the Education and Welfare Action Group is a great place to go. It's run by our education and welfare officers, respectively. But yeah, it's basically where campaigns and actions are planned to fight issues that you may come up with, such as like funding cuts and things like that. But yeah. So key contacts, that's them. So that's my email at the top. Yeah, vice pres, not vice president. And then those are all of the college rep emails. SA stands for student assistants, if you forget that. But yeah, these are great contacts to have. And even if you're like with the college reps, even if you're just confused on something and you want to know if something's the right course of action, definitely feel free to email them and they will be able to give you a hand. Because many of them have been class reps before, and of course they care deeply about their college and they know a lot about their college, so they're also a really great like mechanism and tool to use. But yeah, in terms of what to do from here, as I said, get your email details up on the Waddle page. That's very much like the bare minimum that your lecturer should have. Meet with your course convener. I think it's good to meet with them twice a semester, once before the mid-sem break, once before exams. Of course, you can do it how you like, but it's really good. And also your course conveners really do value your feedback. So it's really great actually to meet with them and let them know how things are going. Read the class rep handbook, this illustrious thing I keep referring to. I will post on the Facebook and I'll post a link to it in the Zoom very briefly. Join the Facebook. I'll bring it back to the QR code for those people who weren't here at the beginning in a second. We also have a course escalation guide, which basically outlines a lot of the stuff I just went through and kind of provides a really like clear-cut way to escalate things, which is incredibly useful. I really valued it when I was a course rep. And that actually was passed at academic board. It should be on your Waddle, this document, which again, I will post on Facebook. But yeah, that should be on the Waddle as well. Yeah. And then that's contact ANUSA. Yeah, are there any more questions? No, I'll bring it back to the, oops, no. There we go. But yeah, I guess that's it. If you don't have any questions or you have questions that you'd rather just come and ask me personally, thanks for coming. Where can you find this PowerPoint? I will also post this PowerPoint in the Facebook, and so will the live recording and all of those documents. It's all in the Facebook. But yeah, thanks for coming. Oh yes, a question. No. You didn't have to. I'm sorry if your college communicated to you that this was mandatory. This definitely was not mandatory. Lol. Sorry. Okay. Swag.
Hi, I was waiting on this, so I didn't understand where I can find the class representative.
It'll be on the Facebook.
Facebook.
Have you joined it?
I'm found.
Or yeah, easy.
All right, thank you so much.
No worries.
Oh. Sorry. Thank you. That was really helpful.
No worries.
I was just wondering because you were talking about how like before lectures and after lectures we can like introduce ourselves. My only issue is that I work full time. So
Yes.
would there be like another option for me? Like I do labs, which I go to so I can introduce myself at them. So I do psychology. But is there another way for me to like
Make yourself
Yeah.
apparent to the class. I would ask maybe a lecturer to just like basically like just post not like a photo of you in the lecture, but put
Yeah.
like a slide and like at the beginning of the
Okay.
next lecture and be like, this is your class rep. You can contact them, right?
Yeah.
With just like your name and your email.
Okay.
If you can't be at your lectures, that
Yeah.
is what it is. And, yeah.
Okay, thank you so
No
much.
worries. Sorry, I need to answer a few questions on the Zoom. Hold on. People on Zoom, I will answer these in a second once the people have left.
I mean, I have some questions because I can't do it. So I just put that on a what's the name?
I would say just get them to put like a slide at the beginning of the next lecture and be like, this is your class rep. This is who you can contact. Yeah.
And I also missed the beginning because I was trying to find out where we were.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I missed the very like I got the notes from the next.
An intro, basically. That was it. When did you come in? It'll all be, did you join the Facebook?
Yes.
Just look at the PowerPoint in the document. It'll all be there. Yeah.
And where do we find it?
I'll post it on the Facebook.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Hi.
I think it's like an active question. You mentioned asking the question about asking about something that they responded to previous
CELPS. So true. I used an acronym. Oh God, I don't know what CELP actually stands for. It's something like student experience learning and teaching. It's a survey basically that you do. It's SELT. It's a survey that you do for all of your courses at the end of the semester.
Thank you.
No worries.
Hi, me and my friend, like, the way our course convener selected the class reps for our course was you're like meant to go to his office and like give a little speech about like why you should be doing it. So we did that and he told us on the spot that we got the role of class rep. And he took down our emails and everything. But so far he hasn't like reached out to us at all.
Okay.
And me and my friend both like emailed him in the same email a couple of days ago. Just about like attending this and about like the responsibilities in general. And he hasn't responded or like put our emails on like the model page or anything.
Okay. In that case, what college?
College of Science.
College of Science. Did you join the Facebook?
The class rep Facebook
Yeah.
group. No, I haven't.
That's okay. Only because it's the easiest way for me to send for you to get this
I can
document.
do that now.
But what I would say is CC your college reps into it, like bump the email, CC them, feel free to
How do I
CC me.
know who my college reps are?
It's basically the email address is sa.your college acronym, so science.
Yeah.
Oh wait, actually, it's just science in that case. At anu.edu.au. And sometimes that can do it. If not, feel free to just send me an email.
Yeah.
My email is in there as well.
Awesome.
And I can email them for you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, I want to know what's the tip of one, get your email details up on water page.
Yes. Basically just so like your student email, just so that your peers know who to contact. Just email your course convener and ask them to put your name and your email on the Waddle page.
My configure will put my email. Yeah. Okay. So this tip I shouldn't do by myself. Just my configure will do this.
Oh yeah, no, they will do that for you because they can't give you access to the course.
I do not need do the tip.
No, just if you send them an email, they will do it.
I have sent to the configure.
Okay. Hopefully that they do that soon. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
If not, just ask them after a lecture. Yeah, no worries. Hi, people on Zoom. Sorry that took so long. As I said, I will send all of this into the Facebook in a second. Okay, how do you recommend seeking student feedback when it is a large class? I think a Waddle posting encouraging, like a Waddle post encouraging students to email with feedback if you have a really large class is a great idea, especially if you don't feel comfortable standing up in the middle of your lecture and asking people to do that personally, or you can do it in your tute. Yeah, but I think a Waddle post is a great idea. If you have a clash with the meeting with the dean next week, you should have 2 course conveners. No, 2 class reps. There should be 2 class reps. Hopefully the other one can go. If not, just share, like send your class feedback, basically, I would say, directly to the ADE. And they will appreciate that. Oftentimes they will reach out anyway, in my experience, if you weren't able to attend. But yeah, being proactive and just sending the feedback straight to them if you can't attend would be great. And that, I mean, is if your other class rep can't go either. Yes, I would recommend sending an email to your convener to suggest they put your contact on the Waddle page. That's definitely a good idea. I do believe this is relevant to ANU Plus. I think. I'm actually not sure. Yes, I do think this is relevant for ANU Plus. Maybe have a look around about that, but your course convener could sign off on your hours for that, I believe. I don't know what the meeting on the 21st of March is, but I imagine it's probably your college meeting, your staff and student meeting. Oh, the link is there. Perfect for ANU Plus. Where do we post on Waddle? You can post in your class forum, but in terms of your class rep details, like your specific email being put up on the Waddle page, that's something that your course convener has to do, unfortunately, because like they can't give you access to like editing the page, of course. But also feel free to just make a Waddle like post, I guess. Being like, hi, I'm your course convener. But yeah. Yes. Oh, perfect. Thank you for posting the link. I'm just gonna post that again. Facebook link. Perfect. Okay, we're getting through these. Yes. Okay, course outlines aren't allowed to be changed after week 1, but what for course? What about for courses that don't have outlines, only draft course guides, draft assessment guides? That's a great question. If that's something you're worried about, I would definitely recommend emailing your course convener and asking them if that draft outline or draft course guide, whatever, is cemented, because it absolutely should be by week 3 of the semester, especially now that census date, I think, has passed. Or the date to enroll has passed. And yeah, I would recommend just asking them that. Also, by the way, when I say send your lecturer an email, of course, you can also just go up to them after your lecture and ask them personally. That's probably a bit less intimidating. How do you know when your meeting with the dean is? That should have been emailed to you personally. If not, I would ask your lecturer or your course convener to forward on that information to you. If not, shoot me an email and I can also get that information from them and I can personally send that to you. But yeah, online degree program. I don't think there's anything wrong with being online, especially if your degree program is entirely online and all of your classes are conducted virtually. Your meetings with your ADEs should have an option for Zoom for you to attend. I was boarding a plane last time I attended one of those meetings. So yeah, I don't think that would be a problem. No exceptionally stupid questions, no such thing. Is it all right to send a second, third join request to the Facebook group in the future if Facebook keeps deleting your account? Oh my God, I hope your Facebook account stops getting deleted. Yeah, absolutely. And it's not something I will probably be monitoring closely after, next week maybe. So if I haven't accepted you, just shoot me an email and I can, or message me on Facebook, I guess. The student life team told you the internal role is not in the ANU Plus program, it needs to be registered by staff. That's really weird. I unfortunately don't know a lot about ANU Plus. Feel free to flick me an email this is my email. I realize I'm sending this to, yeah, everyone. This is my email. I'm just typing it in the chat right now. If you have any further questions, feel free to email me. But about this ANU Plus thing, definitely email me because I don't really know the answer right now. Yeah. How do you arrange a meeting with your course convener? I would just go up to them at the end of the lecture and ask if you can have a meeting with them, or send them an email. Obviously frame it in terms of you being a class rep and wanting to share some feedback. Yeah, that's how I would frame it probably. A random pro tip, I find ChatGPT is really good for sending emails. If you want to sound a little less aggressive or intimidated, I personally come off as really aggressive in all my emails, so I recommend ChatGPT if that's a problem you have. Okay, ANU Plus. I'm so sorry, I don't know enough about ANU Plus, guys. Please feel free to email me about it and I will look into it so that I can get back to you. But I unfortunately don't know enough about if class rep train or if being a class rep is included in ANU Plus hours. Yeah. Does anyone else have any other questions while I'm here? Otherwise, I will end the Zoom. No? Okay. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. And yeah, my email is there. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And yeah, thank you for coming. I'm really sorry if the college made it seem like this was mandatory. But yeah, thank you. And yeah, enjoy your long weekend. All right. Okay.